If you have ever had perfectionism strike, you know that it can completely derail your plans for success and momentum. Wondering how to overcome being a perfectionist? I'm going to share with that in this video. Hi, my name is Tiffany Toombs. I'm a high-performance mindset coach that has worked with thousands of people across the world to help them reprogram and overcome any of their self-sabotaging behaviors like perfectionism and step into their true power, purpose, and potential. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 things that you need to do in order to fully overcome perfectionism and take control back in your life. Let's go. So the first thing that we need to figure out and understand is, where did this pattern of perfectionism come from? Now, there's a couple different places where perfectionism typically stems from. The first comes from trauma or adverse experiences that were experienced during childhood. Now, what it's important to know, and I have other videos on my channel that go into trauma in depth, but it's important to know that trauma is not necessarily the event itself, but how that event was perceived by us at the time that it happened and the lingering effects that it left. Trauma is not always physical or sexual abuse. It's not always war or natural disaster or global challenges like a pandemic, but it can also be what we call little t traumas, which are things like a parent who is highly critical, or parents being divorced, or a parent with a mental or physical health disability. What happens when we experience trauma is we typically are feeling either a lack of safety, a lack of love, connection, acceptance, or a combination of the two. And so we betray who we truly are as a person, and we create personality traits and identities that we believe will allow us to either get that safety and security, or get that love and connection, or to get both. And so we create personality traits like perfectionism or like people pleasing in order to get that. If you had a parent or a teacher or a grandparent who was highly critical, who compared you to other people, who catastrophized mistakes, then you're more likely to develop traits like perfectionism as a way of moving forward. The way that you avoid the pain of that criticism, comparison, or rejection is by being perfect. So what I want you to know is that it's not your fault that you have developed this trait. In fact, you have developed this trait as a survival mechanism. And all we have to do now is show your mind and your nervous system that you no longer need this trait to survive, and that if you let it go, you'll be able to thrive. The second way that we can develop perfectionist tendencies is by having a parent who themselves is a perfectionist. We can learn this trait from other people, as that's just the way that it's supposed to be. If you are a woman and your mother was a perfectionist, then you might believe that the only way to be a good mom or a good wife is by being a perfectionist. If you are a man and your dad was a perfectionist, you might believe the only way to protect and provide for your family is through perfectionism. The third most common place that people learn perfectionism is in school. This links back into the adverse experiences and the trauma, but if you had a school that was very strict about marks or that catastrophized failure or low grades, then you may have again developed this personality trait that the only way I'm safe, or the only way that I won't be criticized or rejected or made fun of, is by being perfect. So we need to identify which of these areas is the perfectionism coming from, and then we can do some very focused healing work on those areas to let go of these old patterns and identities and to reconnect with who you truly are at your core. Now, before I share with you the second thing that we need to do in your journey to overcoming perfectionism, I want to remind you to subscribe to my channel. I am putting out brand new content every single week to help you overcome things like fear, imposter syndrome, and any other mindset and self-sabotage blocks that you have so that you can truly step into your power, purpose, and potential. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and like this video while you're there. So the second thing we're going to work on in overcoming perfectionism is a slight mindset shift to see that perfectionism ultimately leads us to creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure. Most people adopt perfectionist tendencies to avoid being rejected, to avoid being made fun of or criticized or judged. And so what they do is they keep working on this thing until it's perfect. But perfection is a myth, and it's also highly subjective. You and I could both go see the latest movie that's out in theaters, and I could love it, and you could hate it, or vice versa, and neither of us is wrong. You might think that was the most perfect movie ever made, and I might feel like that was like the worst thing I've ever seen. Again, neither of us is wrong because we're basing it on our tastes, our preferences, and our past experiences. And so you could put out something that you believe is perfect, but other people might find a reason to judge. It's also worth noting that the people who are openly and maliciously judging or criticizing you, it's actually likely that they do find what you put out into the world to be quite good, and they're triggered by that. Your success and your momentum triggers their own feelings of inadequacy and failure and rejection and whatnot, whatever they're holding on to. And instead of going inwards to do the work themselves, they feel better by tearing you down. Remember that hurt people hurt people. There's no point in keeping yourself stuck in those patterns just to please somebody else who is intent on not being happy and not being healed. So it's more important that we take some action than it is to wait until everything is perfect. Before I share with you the third mindset shift that you can make to overcome perfectionism, I want to hear from you. Based on what you've heard so far in this video, where do you think your perfectionism is stemming from? Go to the comments below and let me know. So the third mindset shift that we need to make is to start to really believe and understand that done is better than perfect. And in fact, doing something, taking action, actually gives us more information about what to fix and what to improve on than standing still and reviewing and reviewing and reviewing. Just like if we were on a road trip and there was a curve in the road, the only way that we would know what is around that curve or what is beyond that next hill is to take forward action. Every step we take forward, every mile forward we drive, the horizon changes and we see things from a different perspective. The same thing goes with anything that you're putting out into this world. I won't know how good or bad this video is until I record it and then I go back and look at it. This goes with every program, every workshop, anything I have ever done. I've put it out and then I look back at it and I say, I know where I can improve now. Not, oh, here's what was terrible and what I need to change, but here's where I can improve in the future. Sometimes my husband will go back and watch some of my very first YouTube videos and I cringe thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I thought that that was really good back then. But we can often sometimes only see our growth by looking back at what we used to think was really good. So give yourself permission to take action and then spend some time reflecting on what you did really well and where you can improve in the future. And notice the words that I chose there. What did I do well? We want to focus on that first. And then second, where can I improve? Not what did I do horribly? Where can I improve in the future? Give yourself some grace. We are human beings, and the only way that we learn is by making mistakes. Now, if you are ready to conquer fear and imposter syndrome and everything else that might be keeping your perfectionism stuck, I created the 6-day mind mastery program specifically for you. I've pulled together the 6 most powerful worksheets that I use with my clients in their sessions to give them dramatic and quick mindset shifts and transformations to help them overcome everything from fear to overwhelm to imposter syndrome and more. What's going to happen is once you join the challenge, which is totally free, you're going to get an email from me every day for 6 days with the worksheet of the day and an explanation of how to do it. To get instant access right now, go to nlpworksheet.com or click on that link in the description. I'll see you soon.